and welcome. This is JD Schmidt here, and today we've got a great opportunity to talk with Lex Raas, President of Product Development at Aquila. This is a brand that you conceived based on your industry experience and successes, Lex. If you would, tell us a little bit about your background and where you came from.
Yeah, hey JD, pleasure to be here, and going to be looking forward to talking about Aquila, and been a fun ride. So happy to share it with folks. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, just my background is basically born and bred in South Africa. So started sailing, boating. I did my first sailboat race when I was 4 years old. So I've been pretty much in boating all my life. I did grew up doing rowing, so crew boat and things like that, lots of sports, and from 15 until now. It's scary to think how long that is, but that actually puts me this year at 50 years in the boating industry. So
I've been
around a while. Catamarans, I messed around as a kid, as a very young kid, probably 10 years old, with putting little electrical airplane motors on little catamarans that I built, and figured back then that, I mean, this little boat that I built was fast. And I always, then I got into, monohull sailboat racing, did a lot of that, went to various world championships and a few things like that. But also sailed the old Shearwater Cats and Flying Kittens and Tornado when that first came out, and then also a couple of power boats, which was the old hydrofoil power cats, hydrofoil power boats, which was fundamentally a catamaran, really, because it just ran on two little sponsons.
Right.
But I was always impressed with the performance of that, but I was sort of locked in the sailboat game somewhat. And then I imported Beneteau boats into South Africa, actually, at one stage as well. And then I ended up working for Beneteau in France, and also helped set up their factory in the US, and headed up the whole product development. So I moved my family to France, then to the States. That's the other pretty cool thing, sort of experiencing the boating industry in different continents, definitely different thoughts, thoughts on what good boats are and, what boats should be. So, but I ended up, after Beneteau, I'd built a very good relationship with the folks at the Moorings, which is, at the time was the biggest charter boat company in the world. And got to know Charlie Carey actually very well, and he was the founder of the Moorings. And then I ended up joining Moorings in Florida. From Beneteau, I was selling boats to them, and then ended up working for Moorings, where I ended up being CEO for for about 10 years. But in that time, when I joined the Moorings, I realized everything was about monohulls at that stage, and really, my passion for catamarans, I had the ability to really sort of sit back and say, and Moorings wasn't the first boat with some cats. They actually had some catamarans already, but what really attracted me there was the more I spoke to folks about, particularly customers that had been out and that, and they sort of loved the cat, but there was a lot of things that they really didn't like about it as well. So I did quite a lot of work on that initially, and then I said, okay, I can figure this out. Fundamentally the cats, they had engines that were too small. They had the galley down in the hull. They had the main sheet traveler in the cockpit. So not really people friendly, I would say. Typically on a charter boat, you would be, you'd be out with a family, maybe one or two folks that can sail, and the rest can't sail. They're there for a vacation. They're just gonna. So you want a platform that really works out super, super well. And so that's where I ended up developing the Leopard brand with Robertson and Kane, and John Robertson, a buddy of mine in South Africa. I actually tried to get various big companies, including Beneteau, to start building catamarans. And they actually all said to me, oh, there's no future in catamarans. And this was in the early 90s. And I said, well, there is a big future in catamarans. So any case, nobody would build them for us. So I ended up calling my buddy in South Africa, John Robertson, and we developed the first boat was the Leopard 45, which was known as the Moorings 4500, got boat of the year. And that's what started transforming the entire charter boat industry to being predominantly catamarans now. But those were the very first steps. So it wasn't that I was the first one with a catamaran in charter, but I was the first one to really understand what customers wanted on a catamaran. And it wasn't about the speed, although cats with speed, is about the comfort. And,
that first catamaran you're referring to, that was a sailboat still, or power cap?
Yes, that was a sailboat. So I'm sort of coming around around to this. Well, we then started a brand when I was CEO of Moorings called Nordic Blue, actually, and we put some monohull power boats in there as charter boats. And we had a lot of problems with them because of the props, the high horsepower, not a lot of cabins, not that comfortable. And when the engines were down, we took some power boaters and we stuck them on the sailing cats and said, just don't worry about that mast sticking up at the top there. Just don't worry, don't put the sails on, just motor it around. So these are powerboat customers, and they came back and they said, man, this is the best vacation we've ever had, So, you get to understand that. So we started then developing, basically taking sailing cats and converting them to power cats, which basically meant taking the mast off and leaving everything pretty much the same, changing a couple of things. And that took off in the charter, and that's how the charter power people started getting into the charter industry in the Caribbean.